Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, good morning. I know we're signing in from all over the place today. I just want to thank you all for taking the time to spend with me next 30 to 45 minutes for today's Lunch and Learn. You know, it's that time of year, budgeting's coming up, budgeting started, budgeting's almost done. So our hope was today, let's get all of our budgeting questions out there. What are a lot of the most asked questions we see from a lot of you, and we'll just pose them to the group. You know, we're hoping that you may be familiar or sympathizing with some of those questions as well. So it's a great time to get everything out there so we are all on the same page. If you've been to a Lunch and Learn before, you may be familiar with the layout, but for those new joining us, there is a GoToWebinar control panel that popped up on the side of your screen. During the first part of it, I'm going to be going through some mechanics, showing and talking about some things in Compass, but that control panel for you, you'll see there's a little questions box down at the bottom. Please feel free to submit your own questions along the way. There will be some handouts for you to download for today, some slides that go with the presentation, some other things that go along with the budget. To help you out, some reference material for you going forward. The good news is this session is designed for all Compass users. So no matter who you are or what you're using, you are in the right place. So that's great news, great news. Okay, so a little bit about why you're here again. What are we going to be covering today? So you all gave us some great budgeting feedback. We get it a lot. And for most of you, budgeting now is starting to wrap up, you know, or getting to the end of December here, New Year's right around the corner. But you may find yourself still against some few minutes last moving pieces before your budget is officially approved and locked. So this is our chance. Let's review the most asked questions. Let's get some answers out there. But again, take a look at your control panel at the bottom. Please feel free to chime in with your own questions that I'll be able to open up at the end. So first, looking at the slide I have up here, we're going to talk about some mechanics in Compass, last minute changes, what do I do if I have to download, locking and relocking the budget, and then of course the year-end shift. So we still have a few people coming in. I know it's early, it's only 12:02. So to start off this Lunch and Learn today, I wanted to shake things up, get things moving fast, and I wanted to start with a poll. I want to know, where are you in your 2018 budgeting process? So if you have a moment, take a look at your screen. I would like for you to fill out those bubbles. I want to know who's in what boat, who's in the same boat you're in, where are we all at, just to get some familiarity with our group here. I won't give you too much time, you know, just a couple seconds here. We'll get some more answers in, and I'm actually really loving a lot of what I'm seeing here. So that tells me how much detail I really need to go into with you guys this afternoon. So that's great. Okay, let me go ahead and shut down the poll just so I can share with you your results. Look at this. This is amazing. A majority of you are in the last throes of it. There's a few changes that we're still making. See, a quarter of you already have your budget approved, so that's great. So maybe there's some things here we can still learn in case any of those last minute changes pop up from here on out. Okay, great. Thank you so much for your participation with that. I really appreciate knowing where you are, and hopefully you can appreciate knowing where everyone else is. So to get started today, we are going to do a lot of the stuff right in Compass. So let me jump over, and we're going to get in the model here. Okay, so first thing we're going to talk about are some of those last minute changes, last minute adjustments. But if you have been in the world of banking these past couple of weeks, the first thing I want to talk to you about are rates, index rates, driver rates, rates, I don't know another name to call them, so you're familiar with them. So let me click on our rate forecast here. We have our list of our preset indexed rates. So the question comes up a lot. You know, and again, I know you're all with your last minute changes, your budgeting is pretty much set, but I just want you to know a lot of are asking, what do we do with these rates? What am I supposed to be doing with them? What is really the best way to handle these rates during budget time? Because you know, you need to gauge what kind of interest rate you're going to offer on your products to get an idea of the kind of income or expenses they're going to generate. So you need them. You need them to calculate things like your income and your yields and stuff like that. So we know loans are not always coming in at the same rate that you planned for. You know, you strive for an index plus a spread, but maybe this one comes in higher for whatever reason, and this one comes in lower. And we totally get that. But in order to best gauge, again, your anticipated income or expense, you still have to plan for your rates. And these indexes here, they're reliable, they're forecasted, and most importantly, they're automated. So if at all times possible, we always recommend best practice is to tie your offering rate to your index here. So this way, you can keep them as up to date as possible in between major pricing change discussions and things like that. So you know that at least your rates, your offering rates, are consistent with how these market rates are predicted to move. And remember, these indexes can also be adjusted. And I bring this up right now because of prime rate, right? Prime is all the buzz right now. And maybe you didn't even mess with these when you were budgeting or planning, and that's fine. But in talking about prime, we all know what happened to prime rate this past week. Prime rate has jumped up to 4.5%. That's what we're planning on starting out the year in 2018. So when you were planning and when you were budgeting, if you just went with the rate forecast here, you see that prime wasn't actually predicted to jump up like that until February of 2018. But we heard it's raised. Prior forecasting, we thought it would take longer to get there, but now that we know that it's the plans of starting off the new year at this new rate, change it now. Get prime rate updated now. If I see, yeah, historically we held at 4.25 for a while, so maybe I'll hold it at 4.5 for the first quarter of the new year. Because any loan or any product or any account that we have tied to prime with our spread, whether it be contractually or not, is assuming that prime's not going to update until February 2018. So is there any income, any expenses that, you know, may not be as on point as they can, knowing that prior prime rate was only forecasted to be 4.4%. So think about it. If you can, we already know what's going to be happening with prime. These interest rates are driving a lot of our expected income and expenses for next year. So if we know we have accounts tied to these products, we kind of already have an idea based off of what the Fed says of what these products are doing. You can adjust these rates, compute your plan, take a look at an income statement, see what a new prime rate of 4.5 is really going to do for your plan and for your budgeting of next year, so you can bring that up when it comes up in conversation. Hey, I've already planned it out, let's take a look at it, kind of thing. Now here's something else though that we hear occasionally. I don't price off indexes. I price off of competition. So I can't just pick up an index and a spread and things like that. There's a little bit more guesswork involved. Well, my question to combat that is, how do you know what competition is going to be planning next year? I know currently you have an idea of your competition, obviously, so you can plan around that, but I'm serious. Who can share with me their process on this? Because I've heard it before. I know I'm going to hear it again. So how do you have an idea of what your local competition will do next year if you're not pricing off of these automated, forecasted, reliable indexes? We know how those will change. I mean, you must know something. I know you know something. You're planning your income base around it. So please, if there is anyone willing to share how that works for you in your planning discussions when you base your pricing strictly off of competition, I would love to know, just so I can have better discussions about it the next time it comes up. So keep that in mind. Who wants to give Jenny an education lesson? Now, another question has come up in the realm of these interest rates and index rates. Jenny, we're using the model also for interest rate risk. which is fine when it comes to these drivers. Again, if we know what Prime is going to be doing or behaving right off the bat for next year, let's get Prime updated. So even our interest rate risk model, you know, we're going to be doing that soon here, end of December. So we know what we're going into the next year with our new 4.5% rate. And so you probably didn't have to do too much when it came time to budgeting, because again, it's contractual. You have your floors, your ceilings, your spreads. But if any of you would like an overview of how your detailed models are working for you, both on the budgeting side and interest rate risk side, I want to share with you that on our PlanSmith website, we have a whole slew of some Compass tutorials that have been put out there for you. One of the great ones that we have is Building Your Pricing Models Overview. It does a great job of really going into those details of how your offering rate models are working, whether you do or don't have floors and ceilings and things like that. So definitely, please, if you think that will benefit you, come to our website, take a look at it, check it out. It's a great tutorial. Okay, so index rates, know we can change these. If we know something is happening for real life, why not put those rates in there? Let's see what it's going to do to our 2018 plan, since it's something that we can definitely expect. All right, so let me jump over now to the projections. There's a couple questions that came up in the projections. Yes, I just realized I had noticed saving that, but that's okay. That was the end of our rate conversation. So a popular one that we hear on this side is, you know, some people, they just don't understand what it takes when it comes time for me to budget. You can't just give me one number to change, because there are like 10 other things tied to that. Like, oh, what are these guys doing to me? I hear you guys say that all the time. I'm assuming people are just like dropping number bombs at you and walking away. So there's a lot of back and forth. So let me start here. I'm looking at a projections tab. I'm looking at my commercial loans. Again, I know that all of you have been budgeting in this projections tab. This is the moving, breathing, calculating tab. So yes, I can totally sympathize with you where maybe you're given one change to volume, or maybe it's a pipeline change, or you're given a rate change. But what other things does that impact in really the full planning relationship? Like funding, for instance. Depending on what we're changing on our balance sheet, where's that funding going to come from? As you know, Compass is going to auto plug everything to Fed funds for you. So if you know your funding isn't coming from a Fed funds purchased, or you're not in Fed funds sold, make sure that you can get that information ahead of time. Are there fees involved? Is there net overhead involved? Get as much detail as you can when they're throwing that one volume change at you, so you aren't stuck in the back and forth reporting cycle. Well, here I made that change, but now the funding went to Fed funds. Where should this really be coming from? And of course, you know, maybe are there loan fees associated with that, or any other net overhead adjustments? So yes, you are coming time to make these last minute changes, but remember, even though you are just changing one account, there is a cycle of the Fed funds plug, which will then update your current earnings, which will then go into your capital. So get as much detail as you can about that one minor change, so you can take care of everything at once, right? That's what makes your life easier. They should want that, right? Yay. Okay, so remember, minor changes, Compass will balance to Fed funds. Get all the info you can to back up that last minute change, so you can give them everything all at once on your report. While I'm here in the projections tab, we also get some questions about account linking. It came up about, you know, I've got all my allowance for loan losses and my provision for loan losses. I just want to make sure, you know, what kind of shortcuts. I want to make sure I'm aware of everything I can do to make my planning as simple as possible in Compass. So if you aren't already aware of it, remember that your allowance for loan losses can be tied to your calculated provision for loan losses that you find in your non-interest expense account. You can put in some percentage target allowances. You can put in some charge-offs, recoveries. Compass will then calculate your adjusted provision for you, so you can keep the two connected. Again, one living, breathing, I make a change somewhere, Compass already has me covered to make all of my updates. going back to our website to do a little bit of bragging on our tutorials, we have a great tutorial for you all about the allowance for loan loss modeling capabilities in Compass. So if you're really interested in linking those two together, but you're just not quite sure on exactly how that model works, come to our website, take a look at it. It's probably about an 11-minute tutorial. It's not too bad for you. What else goes along with account linking? So we know that there are some balance sheet and non-interest income and expense accounts we can attach. Another one that brought up, let me jump down to non-interest income here. Don't forget like things like loan fees. Well, I have my real estate loan fee account. I have an entire real estate loan fee section in Compass. If I can tie, maybe it's depreciation, maybe it's loan fees. If there's anything I can tie from my non-interest income to my non-interest expense, that's a one-for-one to the balance sheet. Use that type of fee model here down in your non-interest income side. This again allows you to link it to the balance sheet. Now I only have to change my balance sheet number. All the linking down here to the non-interest income will stay automated for me. So there's a little bit of a shortcut you can use. Let's talk about capital here for a moment. As I was talking about, yes, there are some things, what can you change? Is it going to auto plug? Things like that. Another question we get a lot is in the capital section. Why can't I change my forecasted capital? I've looked at my entire 2018 preliminary budget. It looks perfect, but the only piece I need to change is this capital, and I can't do it. You can't do it because you know a lot of these pieces are calculated for you. When I say I can't do it, I am strictly talking about my undivided profits. If you know, here at PlanSmith, we are always pushing planning and reforecasting, and do it often so you can keep real life in your plan. This is exactly one of those reasons why. Your 2017 forecast, your plan, your actuals will all roll into your 2018 capital. So what I mean by that, my last year's undivided profits, I have my planning year undivided profits with this one new balance in here. This new balance are your current earnings with your dividends that are rolling then into next year's undivided profits. So you may be saying, well, this number isn't right. I'm trying to change it. We want it to be something else. So where do these current earnings come from? If we know that's the closeout of 2017, and you might be saying, well, Jenny, I'm doing my downloads every single month, and for 2017, I maybe only have like November and December left of my forecast. So I'm going to turn that question around and say, if you have not been reforecasting your 2017 plan as the year goes on, you may still have some last year's planning numbers stuck in those forecasted months. So because that forecast may be for December, now I know I'm looking at the capital here, your forecast for income feeds into your current earnings, which comes into your undivided profit. So if this is you, if you have an undivided profit that's not in par with your budget plan, here's the best way to troubleshoot if your 2017 forecast, those remaining 1 or 2 months, is the reason for it. I'm going to jump over to reports here. I'm going to pick on an income statement. It's pretty standard. I'm going to go to intermediate because I want high-level detail. I'm going to go to custom. I only really care about where I ended the last couple months versus what I'm planning for next year, 2018. Remember, this still says budget no. We haven't locked anything in yet. Let's do a quick preview. So again, current earnings. Current earnings is your year-to-date net income that's coming from this income statement. So yes, we have our actuals for October and November, but I want you to focus on this December column. December's not been downloaded yet. Is there any big jumps or anything amiss between where you've ended out from November, or whatever your last downloaded month is, to your first budgeted month for 2018? Take a look. I'll start at the bottom, net income. If I see that between these two numbers, there's some big jump in here, These could definitely be old forecasted numbers for last year's budget. Is there anything I can do to my December 2017 forecast to make sure our planned net income is as on point as possible, because this year-to-date current earnings is what will then roll in to next year's capital on your balance sheet. So again, if you ever question your capital, take a look at a forecasted income statement for the rest of 2017, because that's where this closeout number is coming from. All right, so that actually segues perfectly into the next question. So my budget is not locked yet. We're almost there, but it's a new month end. You know, December files are going to be ready here in like, what, 10 days. I need my board reports. I need to get out my last year's variance reports, board reporting, so I need to do a download. So if you did that download, actually, you'd clear up any capital if you did have some kind of a forecasting thing going on with income. So that's one thing I'm going to say, hey, do that download. Get your December numbers in there, because you all know by doing a download, it is going to impact your forecasted income and expense. Come back up here to commercial loans. So I did a December download. I'm going to get a new end of month yield. There will be new maturities, new maturity rates, maybe some new prepayments, and it will 100% impact my 2018 income and expenses. So in a perfect planning world, of course I want you to do that download. Download to get your capital up to date. I want you to see how current cash flows and repricings will impact your 2018 income. Your 2018 plan should be constantly updated with changes to your current balance sheet mix and yield, so it can be as accurate as possible, right? No surprises. But alas, this is not a perfect world. I understand that. You don't always get that choice. You can't have your preliminary budget changing because maybe the decision was made, we are required to plan off of our October balance sheet or our November balance sheet. No matter what, it's out of your hands. So if you did have big changes in December, we would never know that going into your 2018 plan. But again, that's okay. You know, it's not your fault. So you can definitely freeze a copy of your current preliminary budget plan so those numbers will stay based off of that month they need to stay based off of. Then you can have a regular kind of live data copy of your plan to continue the rest of your 2017 downloads, so you can get those current variance reports and current board reports so they don't impact your numbers. Now, a question might be coming up if that resonated with you is, yes, that's me. I need to do that. How can I freeze a copy of my plan? I want to do my December download and the budget may not be locked yet. You'll never guess my answer for that. Tutorials. Yes, awesome. On our PlanSmith website, Bill Smith here just made an excellent tutorial on exactly how to do just that. Let's suspend auto reforecasting during our budget approval so I can still get current year variance reports out. So if that's you, take a look at this tutorial. It's probably another 11-minute one. He's really great with those short tutorials. Answer all the questions you need on how to freeze a copy of that plan. But again, you know my vote. Do that download. Look at that impact of 2018 to really get a great idea of how real life will play into our plans. Okay, so last minute changes, funding, what can I do with some of these index rates? How is my capital being calculated? And should I be doing the download? Those are the basics of the majority of the questions that we find that we're getting from you. But I want to take this a step further because locking in that budget, as you know, a lot of you, I saw quarter view, you have that budget approved, you're ready to lock it in. So maybe you can start doing some of those downloads and making changes to your forecast and it won't matter. So if you have, I want to take a step back here, a multi-unit Compass system, and you'll know if you have it. You'll have branches, departments, cost centers. Everything we're going to discuss is going to be done from the total bank. But for the majority of you working in a single bank plan, we're already at that total bank. This is our total. This is our consolidated. Now, see, I click here, see there's nothing there. There's no branches, I'm already at a total bank. If you have a multi-unit plan, you will see branches. So everything I'm going to show you again, you're doing it at your total bank level. So when you are in Compass, you've been given the go. Your budget has been approved. You're ready to lock it in. First and foremost, I know you know what I'm going to say, but I'm going to say it anyways. Compute your plan. Compute. If you don't remember, it does not hurt to compute again, because the 100% thing you all have to have in common before you lock your budget, net changes must be 0. So these net changes are not 0. That means I just had some changes on my reports. My reports do not look like how I showed them last time. I now need to revisit my balance sheet and my income statement to get those re-verified before I can lock it in. So extremely important. If net change says all zeros, I give you official approval for locking it in. If it does not, you have no approval from me. You need to re-review those reports to make sure your totals are still on target. So if this says all zeros, we'll pretend like mine does. You come up to Utilities. You choose Lock the Budget. It will ask you for your starting point. So remember, if you haven't downloaded for a full year, it always defaults to whatever your downloaded month is. We just need to switch it back to January 2018. That's the beginning of our budget year, and hit OK. Once I do that, it's going to bring me through a few prompts. It'll make me compute the plan. Then my budget has officially been locked, which I just went and canceled out of now. Because I wanted to show you, once that budget is locked, extremely important to come to your data folder. It might be called Live Data, it might be called Compass Data, it might just say Data. Come to your data folder and find your Archives folder. This is where you're making your monthly backups. You're going to come here and you're going to make a new folder for 2018 Locked Budget. And you're going to save a copy of your Compass plan in there. So if anyone at any time ever comes back to you and says, oh, we got to start over, we need to do something different, we've got to get back to our original starting point, you will have a backup copy of your plan to do so. So I can't stress that enough. As soon as you're locked in, go ahead and make yourself a budget, please. I'm sorry, a backup. A backup, you know what I mean. But okay, so we've locked it in. That's great. This is now my regular plan I can use going forward. But I was just given another last-minute change after approval. We realized based off of December, hey, something did go unexpected. It didn't go as planned, and now we really need to get that into our budget. So when you have to relock a budget, I want to tell you that you can't just pick one account and say, I'm going to put in some new volume and I just want to relock in this one account. Because remember, if we change something here, it'll change our income, it'll change our Fed funds, which is going to roll into our current earnings, so on and so forth. So you can't just pick one account and say, I only want to relock in a new number. When you are locking in a new budget, Compass will lock in every single account for the 2018 projections. Every single account, it'll look at whatever's in the projections tab and re-lock that in then as the new budget. So this exactly goes to what I said earlier. Since it's not just usually one thing that changes, remember, if you're given a last minute change, get everything involved with that change. Is there funding? Is there fees? Are there overhead adjustments? So I can come in, make all of my changes in Compass at once. I am, yes, going to have to come back here, recompute my plan, because now I want my reports and my ratios to refresh with whatever that new preliminary budget is going to look like. Once you see all zeros on that, you know your reports are ready to go. All ramifications that are tied to that one change have all been taken care of. So now you can go ahead and get your reports approved for that new last minute change and re-lock in your budget. Same steps as before. Utilities, lock the budget. Again, it's going to ask you your starting point. I'm just going to hit cancel here. You know what to do. Because we're locking in everything from the projections to the new budget plan. When you do this, you are going to come to your archives again, and you're going to create a new folder. You're not going to overwrite your old budget, and I bet you know the answer why, because someone at some point down the road is going to say, remember that first budget? Show me what that looked like again. So don't overwrite any prior approvals. Create yourself new folders to put newly approved budgets in, so you always have your fallback plan. If they're like, nope, scrap it, we're going back to the original. If you need help with relocking in a budget, you know the drill, please call us. Call us on support, email us, give us a shout out. If you're just questioning your methodology or what it is you need to change to make sure you're on the right track. Okay, that's great. So once you get your budget locked in or re-locked in, one of the most important things I want to stress to you are the reports you're going to print off. So all season, we've been using budget no reports. If you remember from my last Lunch and Learn, here's my budgeting script. Everything was preliminary 2018 numbers. Now that those preliminary numbers are approved, we just went through utilities and locked it in, I can come to my properties of any budget report and switch it to budget yes. So now when I print off my budgeting scripts or my budget reports for the board, everything will be budget because I'm going to see it here right up in the report header. If it does not say budget at the top of your report, you are still looking at numbers sitting in the projections tab. So again, locked budget, change report properties to budget, and you'll be good to go. Then you can start using things like my favorite, annual activity report. Hey, we just got our budget locked in. People need to know their pipeline, their goals, what their plans are for new volumes going into next year. This report can now be distributed to any of those departments that gave you those plans so they can keep on track of what their goals are going over the next year. Or maybe you've created department-specific reports. Well, here's my loan reports for my loan people. You know, whatever you can, whatever kind of production reports, volume reports, now that you can start use for 2018, share them with your budgeting group or your budgeting team that gave you those inputs so everyone now knows here are the goals for the 2018 year. The rest of the reports, though, you're comfortable with them. You know your variance reports. Get everything together and make sure that your 2018 reports are fresh and ready with their properties. Now, the last question that we get comes up a lot is the year-end shift. You know, we're only a few days away from the end of the year here. So a lot of the times, users are asking, do I need to do a year-end shift first? Should I lock in my budget first? What's the process? When do I need to be doing what? What I can say for you about this year-end shift is you are not going to have to worry about doing it until February 2018. So I'm not even going to go there because I'm not going to talk about it. I don't want to confuse you. So for a majority of you, your budget will be locked first. So don't even worry about the year-end shift. Don't even think about it. We're going to talk about the year-end shift when February rolls around. We just got to open up your data bridge for 2018. So focus on your budget, focus on your planning, focus on your reporting, focus on the holidays. Don't worry about your year-end shift. We'll talk about that in a couple months when you need it. Okay, so let me get to, now I know I've seen a few questions come in. So let me take a look here at some of your questions that we can address while I still have you all on the line. Okay, oh, my bad. Hey, so Jenny, I just went out to your website and I cannot find those tutorials that you're talking about. I guess that would have been helpful. I am so sorry. So let me open up a new tab for you. This is you. You're coming here to plansmith.com, our new website. Check it out. Right under here is Learn with a down arrow, webinars, upcoming events, some videos we have about PlanSmith. Most importantly for you guys, Compass tutorials. Here they're all categorized. Come in here, take a look. You'll be able to find each one of those tutorials that I mentioned. Yeah, about today. It's great. This is a great place you can come to for those kinds of resources. All right, everybody. I only had that one question, so please, here's some things coming up. Take a look out for them. I know on the events page on our website, we're going to get this updated very shortly here with all of our 2018 events, but if you could make it in, that's great. We'd love to see you at some of our in-house events. Otherwise, you know, Lunch and Learns, I'll see you here next month. And please, keep in touch. If you have any questions, email me, call me, catch me on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. You know, I'm all over the place. So reach out. Let me know what questions you have. If you download the slides from today's handouts, I did put in links to all of those tutorials just for you to know. So if you don't have time to go to the website to do some research, you want just the ones I sent for you, download those handouts. You'll get a link to everything there. I also included, I know Roxanne sent this out in October, but there are locking the budget instructions. Since I know a lot of you have that budget approved already, if you need some step-by-step refresher instructions, please definitely download that handout. Take a look there. So, okay, stay tuned for the new information, our new calendar coming out in 2018. And if you have a moment, you know I love your feedback. Please take a look at the survey. I've got some new questions out there. I want to do some new things in 2018. So if you have a moment, I would love to get some more of your feedback. Thank you, everybody. Take care. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season. Bye.